Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's me, Non-Weeb here. Back after a little bit of my voice dying, but it's okay now. I'm okay. Just so you know, in case anyone cares. Anyway, enough of that. Sleeping, not that. But anyway, advertisement time. So yeah, if you guys want to, you can hit the like button, comment down below what you think of this video besides this weird beginning intro part. And also, if you like me, Baka, you can go and subscribe to my second channel, Weeb. I know it's such an original name, it's so different from this one. But yeah, you can subscribe there too. I'll be doing some more stuff on that. I have the second part for the Shield Hero recap coming out tonight as well. Thank you guys for being patient on that. Anyway, just finished recording 25 videos for the next few weeks. I'll be posting like 3 videos a day, so we can finish up the rest of the what ifs. I'll be holding off on what if Naruto was the Sage 6 Past Reincarnation, what if Naruto had Sunshine, and what if Naruto had Demigod to the ends of each week. So this upcoming week we'll be completing the rest of all of what if Naruto had a demigod. What if Naruto was a demigod? Anyway, yeah. So the rest of the videos will be coming out. If you want to look at this week's schedule, go and check that out. But let's just get on with the video. Hope you guys are ready for this part, for those of you who are interested in this. I mentioned this in the community tab a while ago, and let's get into it. Welcome everybody to What If Asta Was in Fairytail. And I don't know if any of you guys are going to watch this, but if you guys do, you'll know that I'm actually a fan of Fairytail, as well as Black Clover and Naruto, and, just pretty much everything. I mean, I'm not a fan of Sailor Moon, I guess, but whatever. Anyway, so this is What If Asta Was in Fairytail. And so let's just get into part 1 for this. This is kind of the setup part. Here we go. So our story begins as we see a small flux in magical power. We see mana in the world of Black Clover being slowly altered just as the babies Yuno and Asta are placed down at the doorsteps before the church. Yuno is crying out loud while Asta is sleeping pretty peacefully. As suddenly, Asta, having no magic energy, is undetected by this mana source. The mana begins to alter around him, and just as this does so, the door is about to open. As the door opens, suddenly Asta disappears as he's sucked into a time portal and sent into another world. This is when Yuno is picked up by the actual, father of the church and is taken in to fulfill his story. Asta would wake up in a very strange land. As Asta wakes up, he sees that himself is actually at a weird door. And from baby Asta's point of view, we see the door open when suddenly we see Gramps, Makarov from Fairytail, the Fairytail guild leader, opens the door and looks down to see a baby Asta being left at Fairytail's doorstep. This is when he takes a liking to Asta, who kicks him in the face just like he would with the father back in, Black Clover. He takes a liking to Asta and thinks that this kid's got some spunk and decides he'll take him in. This is around a few years, a little bit before, before Gray and Natsu would join Fairytail. Around the time that Asta is 4 years old, he would begin his testing to see what his magic type was, or if he had much of it at all. You see, in Fairytail, everyone has magic, but it's more commonplace, similar to how it is in Black Clover. However, in Fairytail, it's not based off of your magic power that actually dictates your status, with the nobles like in Black Clover. As well as the difference between mana and magic is a little bit similar, but let's move on from that. Asta would be tested, and to a surprising shock, he would be the only one who actually has no magic sensitivity at all. Even a regular person in this world has at least some magic, if even just barely any affinity to sense it or feel it at all. Asta, on the other hand, has nothing. He literally has no ability to feel any magic of any kind in this world. Gramps would be surprised and thinks that this must be a mistake, as they hold off and decide they'll check in a few more years. Around the time that Asta is 6 years old, this is when Gray Fullbuster would be joining the guild. When Gray joins, Gray and Asta immediately become rivals, with Asta seeing Gray as a challenge, as Gray could already do ice magic at his young age, which really made Asta want to do more. Asta, knowing that he couldn't actually keep up with Gray through a magic fight, decides that he'll get better than him through his muscles, and this is when he decides he'll train. Asta begins training physically as he runs around Magnolia for most of his life for the next couple of years. or that's what he plans on. As Asta continues working out almost every day, he begins to slowly get stronger and he feels his muscles building up. Asta, however, is still shorter than Gray, which always makes him annoyed. This is when Natsu comes into the picture. Natsu, as well as Urza, would come into play after a while, as they both show up to Fairytail. Asta would try and greet Urza with a sense of welcoming, and as he approaches her waving his hand, Urza would look at him with pure annoyance. Asta would shrink back for a second as he sighs and lowers his head as he walks away. As Asta walks away, he decides he'll train some more and that he won't let anything keep him down. This is after a while when suddenly Asta would meet his new rival. I'm Natsu Dragneel, and my dad Igneel taught me all the moves that I can be to become the strongest dragon slayer ever. Natsu proclaims this as he walks into the doors of Fairytail, his white scarf flowing behind him as he says this. Urza and Gray look up at him with a minor annoyance, with Gray beginning to feel a bit ticked off for some reason. Asta runs up to him and tells him that he's gonna beat him in a fight. Natsu grits his teeth and says, "Oh yeah?" And that's when Asta and Natsu begin their rivalry, as Asta considers that Natsu and Gray are both his own rivals. As Natsu, Gray, and Asta would both grow up slowly over time, Gray and Natsu's magical affinities would become clearer. Well, obviously they were clear at that point already, but they would become stronger and stronger, while Asta seemingly had nothing yet. As Asta continues to work on his body, this is when he would have his endeavors joined with him by L. L would be, as you guys know from Fairytail, is Mira's younger brother. Would become much closer to each other as they became workout buddies. Around the same time that Fairytail begins, Asta now is very physically strong, above that of a normal average human, and this is where he decides that he's going to figure out what his magic type is. Asta would go on a quest one day by himself, which had Makarov was always worried about him as he never had developed his magic to become a wizard at all, which was pretty bad for their profession. Asta would take a quest, and as he headed out, his mission was to actually destroy something called the Books of Zeref. There were some old ones that had been collected by some other towns that were supposed to be destroyed, but a lot of the people there were afraid of the books and wanted a wizard to do the job. Asta thought it was pretty easy, as he was always good at destroying stuff anyway. This is the first time that Asta was ever allowed to leave Magnolia on a quest. And as he takes a job and heads out to go destroy something called the Books of Zeref at this village, Asta is absolutely invigorated, ready to show what he's made of. Asta, as he gets to the village, would eventually see that near the wall the guards had already put all the books together in a neat pile, telling Asta that he can go burn them. Asta gives them a actual symbol as he puts his hand to his forehead and tells them no problem. Asta would begin to bend over, and one of the guards asks if he's alright down there. Asta yells at him that he's still growing, as the guards ask what he means. Asta sighs as he reaches back and tightens his Fairytail headband. As Asta reaches back down and grabs all the books and holds them in his hands, he says he'll get rid of these with no problem, as he heads out to the woods. As Asta heads out to the woods, the books begin to actually react to him. When Asta's anti-magic, or anti-mana to be more precise, comes into contact with the books, suddenly something happens. As Asta is in the middle of the woods, suddenly a red flash of light comes out of nowhere, as suddenly one of the books bursts open as all the pages rip out of the cover and fly towards Asta's open gaping mouth. As they all fly directly into Asta's mouth, he swallows them as they go inside of his body. Asta feels a red light covering his body as it then fades back into nothing. Asta would then notice that he feels a weird feeling in his left hand, as he looks down to see a black mark on it. He decides to have Grams check out what the heck that was later when he gets back to the guild. Asta would then burn the rest of the books of Zeref that had been left there, as he gets his reward for helping the villagers. Asta then heads back to the guild to report that he completed his job. This is when Asta would run into Lucy and Natsu on their way back, after Natsu had gone to go look for his dad. "Oh hey Natsu, it's been a while." "Oh hey, you're the kid who can't do any magic, who calls himself a wizard, right?" Natsu makes fun as he looks at Asta with pointed eyes. This is when Asta smiles and holds his hand up and tells Natsu, "Look, he totally has some magic now." Asta would shove his hand into Natsu's face as Natsu takes a step back to look at what this thing is on his hand. This is when he sees a small black sword engraved onto the palm of Asta's hand. He then asks Asta what's that supposed to do. Is it coloring magic or something? This is when Asta gets a little pissed and tells Natsu that that's not what it does. He just doesn't know yet. As he walks into the guild hall, him and Natsu, along with Lucy and Happy now, would walk towards the counter. This is when Natsu rushes up to Makarov and says, Hey, Gramps, look what I've got. I think I finally unlocked my magic after doing that job you gave me. Gramps looks up to him, and as Makarov looks down to look at his hand where Asta's gesturing, he decides to look at what further inspection upon what this is. As Makarov looks at this mark, his eyes widen, as he's about to say something. If you guys want part 2 for what if Asta was in Fairytail, make sure to like button, comment down below what you thought, and subscribe to the channel for more. Anyway, this won't be coming out like daily, like weekly, like most of my other ones, since it's not Naruto what if. But if you guys like it, then I'll do more of it as well. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. Bye.